Hello again everyone, this is Michinatsu. Today I want to talk about some study methods that didn't work well for me. Sometimes they were boring and some of them were simply overhyped, I found. In some cases, there are some study methods and training which are coming from marketing purposes, which is a little sad to be honest, but it reminds me of the importance of being shopping savvy as a language learner too. I'm going to touch on what I believe are truly important aspects of learning English too. I don't mean to dismiss any study methods. I don't want to sound like, hey, you cannot do this, or hey, you need to stop what you are doing right now because I am correct. No, the concept of this video is more like, I just wanted to let you know that quitting something can be a step forward. When it comes to language learning, it's quite confusing because people recommend so many things, right? I want you guys to reflect on what you are working on. Please, don't forget to listen to your heart because I'm still learning too, so I want to stay humble in that sense. Please take this video as a reference, but I hope this video is going to be a great reference for you guys. As always, if you have got any questions, comments, please let me know. I would love to hear what you have to say, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you're more than welcome to as well. Alright, let's get right into it. The first one that I stopped doing is working so hard to memorize vocabulary. I'm not saying that you shouldn't memorize vocabulary. They are awesome and they are so important for your language skills, but rather that sometimes memorizing words becomes the goal in itself without realizing it. I want you guys to take time to ask yourself, are you memorizing words or are you improving your language skills? It's a great question, isn't it? So I stopped obsessively using flashcards to memorize words or going through some vocabulary books like over and over. You know, there is a Japanese word, 爆速英単語帳回し. I'm not really fans of the idea. There's actually an interesting research by Lofer B and Holston J in 2001. According to their research, students who engaged in task-induced involvement such as make a sentence using those words retain 30% more vocabulary over the long term compared to rote memorization. So they found that yes, vocabulary acquisition is crucial, but the mere memorization of words without context or practical use can lead to shallow learning. To be honest with you guys, I spent quite a bit of time on vocabulary books when I was younger. When it comes to English, I'm such a nerd, so I didn't mind the study. But the thing is, I kept telling myself, if I finish this book, if I work hard, it's gonna be easier for me to have a conversation in English. Alas, it never happened. I want you to think about how you use those vocabulary books. They usually give you an English word with a Japanese translation, often highlighting the common meaning, and then we try to memorize, you know, that specific pair, which can cause a problem. For example, beautiful means 美しい, which is not wrong, but the problem is beautiful can express more than 美しい, but we tend to forget that. I've been working in retail for a while in Australia. A lot of customers say beautiful when I hand a bag to them. After checking in their receipt and stuff in there and then hand it to them, they say beautiful. They don't say beautiful to compliment my beauty. Possibly they can, but no, they say beautiful to mean great or nice or amazing. I know some of you guys might be thinking like, okay, now I understand what beautiful means. I mean, you feel like you understand the word, but you actually don't. Have you ever been in a situation where you have to speak English and some native speaker talks to you in a ridiculously simple expression such as, hey, how are you? Or like, what are you up to? Or something like that. What you can do is just freeze, even though you have practiced it at home like so many times. In many cases, the reason is because the experience itself upsets you. You are under pressure, so it steals your ability to process such a simple conversation. I reckon many of us actually fail to use beautiful naturally in a similar context because in school we have linked beautiful only to 美しい in our minds, so it's so hard to override it. Another example will be, here's a word, pitch. Pitch has got several meanings. I'm gonna put the translations around here. And then you go like, okay, pitch means 音の高さ and ascending and even 傾き as well. You feel like you understand the word, but you actually don't because many of us see those translations just as a string of letters. Am I wrong? I don't think so. Vocabulary books or apps and all that, they're more like theoretical study in driving. They are necessary, but not sufficient. I believe real fluency comes from practical use. What do I do now? You might ask. I love reading, so I use Kindle, which gives me quick and simple meanings. And I don't know how this feature is called, but I can adjust how much help I need. If I want to dig in one specific word, I click it, it gives me some dictionary options. Also, I try to focus on 80% comprehension reading at the moment, which means when I read a book or even like when I watch a content in English, if I understand about 80%, I move on without stressing out like every single word. I also believe in the 80-20 rule. 80% of our daily use vocabulary comes from 20% of the words that we know. So instead of cramming like, I don't know, thousands of words all together, now I try to learn vocabulary casually. You need to have the courage to diversify your inputs, reading articles or watching videos or having a conversation online or something like that. It's proactive learning. I recommend you guys to do the same as well. The second thing that I stopped doing is studying for TOEIC. There's also an interesting research by Yu Zhang and Kathy Elder in 2011. Their research indicated that yes, TOEIC scores can reflect person's test-taking ability. However, unfortunately, they do not reflect their ability to engage in conversational English. I feel like we are already aware of the fact, right? As a student, I prepared for TOEIC intensively, even though I didn't mind the study. I got to learn that the techniques needed for TOEIC is significantly different from those required for real conversation in English. You know, exam techniques often involved like recognizing patterns or common traps or something like that. It does not translate to speaking skills. TOEIC is also misleading when considered an output activity. Personally, I don't believe TOEIC is an output activity. Answering multiple questions, like multiple choice questions, test your knowledge for sure, but not the ability to express yourself in English, especially in your own words. And this might sting you a little bit as well. Numbers are comfortable because they give you validation and they show how far you have come. But when it comes to actual language skills, you can't measure with numbers. You just have to keep working on it, even though you can't see the result immediately. It's gonna be only you who can give you a validation of your English, right? My recommendation is balance TOEIC preparation with other activities such as other language use, such as writing journals or having a conversation or talking to yourself. Expressing yourself in your own words. That is totally essential. The next one is actually quite interesting. Limiting exposure to a single accent. I found an interesting study or even like article on Oxford University Press by Jennifer Jenkins. According to her study, listeners exposed to multiple accents had a 25% improvement in comprehension of non-native English speakers compared to those only exposed to a single accent. I tell you, this is not my imagination. This is not my own belief as well. It's impossible to live surrounded by try only one accent in this generation. It's okay to have a preference, but if you've got a stubborn mindset such as English needs to be spoken in this way, that sort of mindset is gonna give you only challenges, like socially and professionally. As a matter of fact, English is not exclusive to native speakers. I'm a YouTube girl. By limiting exposure to native speakers only, I must have missed out like so many great insights, beautiful insights and different perspectives. If you expose yourself to different accents at an early stage, your listening skills will improve. Like from my own experience, I can say it's true, like it's totally true. It also fosters your better relationships and professional interactions too. In this sense, we are so lucky. There are so many sources out there. From my own experience, I do recommend you guys to expose yourself to different accents. It's good for your listening skills for sure. It's definitely good for you. The next one is probably I don't have to talk about it too long, which is studying only English. I keep telling you this probably over and over in my YouTube channel. I have learned that only speaking English does not guarantee you happiness or success. Your language skills are like a plate. Your English gets better and then you can put more things on it. But what if you've got nothing to put on? I know you guys are busy. I know you guys have got something like going on besides English. I think that is great because your life is not only about language skills, right? Enjoy learning other things and hang out with your family and friends. You don't have to give yourself like to English 100% because you experience other things, you learn other things, and you improve your language skills. They get together. Magnificent, right? The last one is I stopped focusing only on school. I found an academic article in Psychological Science. According to the article, students who are intrinsically motivated to learn, in our case, we learn English because we want to and we've got some sort of goals to achieve rather than focus on test scores, had a 30% higher retention rate of knowledge and skills over 5 years. 30% is actually a lot. I'm not a huge fan of talking about my scores and certificates. It's not like I don't believe in them. It's more like my vision towards English has changed. So to validate my English, I don't need those certificates, if that makes sense. But just telling you like how I did in school. My first TOEIC score was over, when I was a teenager, about like 900. And when I was in high school, my Hensati, I don't know how to call it in English, above 70 always. I was quite happy with it. But the problem is, even though I was happy with the numbers, my actual English skills were terrible. Like I couldn't have a conversation in English. My listening skills were terrible. When I felt insecure about my English, I went back to study for exams. They gave me a validation. I got confused because my actual language skills and those scores, they do not correlate together. So I was like, what do I have to do? Like, what am I doing wrong? But the truth is, actually, studying for exams and actual language skills, they are separate. I'm not gonna say they are different like completely, but they need different skills. By any chance, if you are in a trap where because you don't feel happy with your language skills, you go back to study for the exams, you have to think about it. What you really need might be more proactive learning, such as using contents or speaking with people. It needs courage, but you need to have a conversation. It's a different form of studying, isn't it? The key here is you need to ask yourself, why? Why are you learning English? Is that because you want to get a higher score? Is that because you want to be fluent in English? If you reflect on your goal every now and then, you're gonna see what you really have to do and what you don't have to do. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know by clicking the like button. And if you've got any questions, comments, please let me know. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you're more than welcome to as well. Alright, I see you in the next video, guys.